Hi everyone, it's Melissa, and today I'm going to do a little unhaul and a TBR spring cleaning. So I've just found lately that my shelves are quite full and there's really no room to grow, and I would like to add some things to my bookshelves. And I just know that there are some things on here that I'm either never going to get to or I'm going to get to in like years, so why keep it around for 5 years when I can just get it from a library in 5 years time rather than keep it on my shelves for that length of time. So I've decided to kind of go through my shelves and see if there's anything I can get rid of. I also watched a while back Natalie from Dancing Lawn do this video, the TBR spring cleaning tag. I forget the original creator, but I will link that below. But essentially it's 10 prompts where you're supposed to go to your TBR shelves or just your bookshelves and find the things that have been sitting on your TBR list and see what you can kind of spring clean, get rid of, things that you're probably not going to get to. There are 10 prompts. I probably won't be able to find 10 things, so I've kind of told myself that if there's a prompt that I can't find something on my shelves, for that prompt that I will go to Goodreads and just try to delete the equivalent number of things, because my Goodreads TBR is also getting a little unruly. And I figured I'd better film this while it is still technically spring because summer is fast approaching. So before I get into the TBR spring cleaning tag, there are 5 books that I am unhauling that are not part of my TBR. I have already read them and I've just decided I don't want to keep them. The first is The Marrow Thieves by Sherry Demeline. This is a dystopian, and I liked a lot of it, but I didn't really enjoy the pacing, and I just don't think I'll ever read it again. And I know that other people will be thrilled to find that in the secondhand shop, so I'm unhauling that. There's also The Time Traveler's Wife by Audrey Niffenegger. This I was really engaging while reading it, but there are parts of it that I found unsettling because it's about a time traveler, so he and his wife don't meet chronologically, and I just found their relationship, how he met her when she was a girl, I found that all very, like, icky, and there's just a lot to unpack with this book, and another one I'm not going to be reading again. The next I'm unhauling is Grief is the Thing with Feathers by Max Porter. It's about a family dealing with grief, and there's a crow that comes and visits them. Usually I'm into magical realism, but the parts where the crow just didn't work for me. The parts about the family dealing with grief were awesome, and I just wanted to read a book about that without the crow. So half of the book basically didn't work for me. The next I'm unhauling is The Robber Bride by Margaret Atwood. I didn't dislike this book. I loved the writing, I loved the characters, but at the end I just found it not very satisfying how things got tied together at the end. And it's also a really big book that takes up a lot of space, so I feel like I'm not going to keep a, quote-unquote 3-star book on my shelf just because the writing is beautiful. I have other Atwood books whose writing is probably just as beautiful. So we're going to unhaul that one. And the last one I'm getting rid of is Dr. Tatiana's Sex Advice to All Creation. This is a nonfiction that's kind of like fake advice column where different animals are like writing in about their very bizarre like sex questions. So it was fun because you kind of learn about different like reproductive and sexual like bizarre sexual things, and you learn about like the evolution of like sex across the animal kingdom, and it's all very interesting, but I don't think it's aged well. Like it's very tongue-in-cheek and it's supposed to be humorous, but there were like outdated words used. I think this was like published in the 90s, and it just yeah, we'll just leave it at that. It has not aged well. So that's what I'm unhauling. I'm going to move these. So now I'm going to do the TBR spring cleaning prompts. The first one is pick a book that's been on your TBR for too long. The problem here is that most of these books have been on my TBR for too long. So what I'm going to do is for everyone I can't find a book for my shelves, I'm just going to make a tick mark, and at the end I will go through my Goodreads TBR and delete the equivalent amount. So the next prompt is pick a sequel you just won't get to. Every sequel I have, I want to read. Oh, okay. Here's one that maybe this is kind of cheating. I don't care. The Long War by Terry Pratchett and Stephen Baxter. It's a sci-fi. I found this in a little free library, and I literally just snatched it up because I saw Terry Pratchett. I hadn't heard of this. But then when I looked it up later, it's book 2 of a series. And I just feel like I am not going to track down the first book in this series just so I can read this one. Prompt 3 is pick a book by an author you've fallen out of love with. Ooh, let's see. This is another one that may be a little bit of a cheat, but I can't say that I've fallen out of love with this author because I've never read this author, but it's a book that I bought before I realized that this author was not a nice person. So I have the Call of Cthulhu and Other Stories by H.P. Lovecraft. I got this, I don't remember when, a long time ago, and since buying it, I've learned that he was a horrible, horrible racist and all around just not nice person. And I don't feel like reading any of his stuff anymore. There are plenty of other horror short story collections that I can read instead of this. Okay, prompt 4 is pick a book you're keeping on your TBR because of the cover. Ooh, I feel called out. Okay, my first inkling when I saw this up on my shelf just now is this was definitely a cover buy. Just look at it. Look at the 90s nostalgia on this cover. I just love it. But I don't really want to get rid of this. It's YA and I don't read a lot of YA, which is why I haven't picked it up yet. But also I've heard good things about Tiffany D. Jackson, and I don't know. I don't think I can part with this. But this was definitely a cover buy. I don't even really know much about this book. I haven't heard anyone talk about this book. But I don't want to get rid of this book. Let's see if I can find something else. Okay, I found something else. Mosquito Land by David Arnold. This is another cover buy. But when I think about actually reading this book, it's like a road trip coming of age story. I think this is also YA. And every time I think about this book, I'm just never in the mood to read it, and I don't think I ever will be in the mood to read it, so I am going to part with this. Prompt 5 is pick a book from a genre you never reach for. This is hard because I read all of the genres that I own, so I think that's going to be another Goodreads one. Ooh, actually, no. A book just popped into my brain. It's not really a genre, but a subgenre maybe. Because I was just thinking about this book the other day and how I've had it for so long and I just keep not reaching for it. But it's The Valley of Amazement by Amy Tan, and it's like a multi-generational family saga, which is like a subgenre or a type of story that I just never read. And I don't think I'm going to pick this up. So this is what I'm choosing for a genre you never reach for. Okay, moving on now to prompt 6. Pick a book a friend recommended, and it sounded really good at the time, but now you're not too sure anymore. I don't have a lot of bookish friends in real life, so I really only have 2. I only have 2 books on my shelves that were recommended to me by friends. But I am still very interested in both of the books from my real life friends that have been recommended to me, so that's going to be another tick mark for the Goodreads TBR. Prompt 7 is pick a book you put on your TBR because of the hype. I mean, there's a few things here I've put on because of the hype. The 13th Tale. I'm not unhauling this. I want to read it. No, I've checked all my shelves and there's nothing, so that's going to be another Goodreads one. Prompt 8 is pick a book you tried to read but just couldn't get into. There are no books I currently own that I have tried to read and put down, I don't think. So that is going to have to be another tick mark for the Goodreads TBR. Pick a classic or an older book you just won't read. Oh no. I'm looking at my classic section and there's nothing on here that I am willing to part with. And an older book, like a lot of our older books, either I've already read and therefore are not like on my TBR, or they're my husband's books and I'm not getting rid of my husband's books. So I don't think I can do this one either. The last prompt, number 10, is pick a book that you have no idea what it's about or how it got on your TBR. Ooh, okay, that's a challenge. I actually found one. I have no idea how this got on my TBR. Like, I know how it came into my house. It was one of those, buy X number of books, get the X number, whatever. You know what I mean? I think it was one of those fill out the order type things. I had never heard of it. I haven't heard anyone talk about it. I don't know what it's about, and I liked the cover, but I don't know what this is, so why am I keeping it? I have so many other books on this shelf that I want to read that, there's no reason to keep this. There's just no reason. So I was able to choose books for 5 of the prompts and not for the other 5, so I'm going to go on to my Goodreads and choose 5 books to delete from my want to read list if possible. Okay, so here we are on my want to read list. I have to choose 5 books. So right now I have them sorted, I think, by date added. So these are like the oldest, or the ones that have been on my list the longest. I am still interested in all of them. Oh my gosh, how am I going to choose 5 things? There are a few things on here that I still want to read, but I cannot get a hold of them, so I don't feel like I should just keep them on my Goodreads want to read list because, I don't know, I just like my TBR to be as minimal as humanly possible. There are some on here that are like ones that I want to read, but I don't necessarily want to buy. Like, I only want to read them if I can get them at the library, essentially. One of those is the Poems of Marianne Moore. I do want to read this collection, but I have checked my library for this and they don't have it, and they keep not having it. So I am going to delete the Poems of Marianne Moore. So there's one. I need 4 more. Well, need. I made up this rule and I can not abide by it if I don't want to. Okay, another poetry collection. My library system does not carry a lot of poetry, unfortunately, so I'm probably just going to be getting rid of a lot of poetry on my TBR. But Flesh from Mary Jean Chan. This, again, is a poetry collection that I can't find, and I don't want to buy it, so we're going to get rid of Flesh. So that is 2 down, 3 to go. Okay. Daisy Jones and the Six. Do I want to get rid of that for my TBR? It doesn't. It's not my usual, the usual thing that I would pick up, but I do think I am intrigued by the premise of that one, because it is told in like interview transcript format, which I've never read anything like that. So I think I'll keep that on. What We Buried. Is this a poetry collection? I think it is. That is a poetry collection. That is another one that I couldn't find, I feel like. But I don't know, there's something about that one that I do really want to read. I might circle back to that. We'll keep that on for now. You know what? I think I'm going to get rid of Hope in the Dark by Rebecca Solnit. I started to read her collection, Men Explain Things to Me, and I just didn't connect with the writing. Um, so I'm going to delete that one. 2 more to go. Okay, and we're stumbling upon yet another poetry collection that I cannot get my hands on. That's England Poems from a School, and it's something that I'm just not going to purchase, so we're going to get rid of that one. So one left. Got some like fairy tale-esque things, which I just never get rid of because I like fairy tales. I'm going to keep all that on. Sci-fi is something else. Like, I'm not going to get rid of the Calculating Stars or All Systems Red. I want to read those. Suspended Heart. I don't even know what that is. I don't know what that is. And I'm just having like that gut reaction of, if you don't know what it is, why is it there? Why is it there? We're going to delete it. I'm not even going to look at what it is. We're just going to follow my gut. And there we go. 5 things off of my Goodreads TBR. So, a success in unhauling and cleaning up my TBR a little bit. I hope you enjoyed this. And as always, thank you all so much for watching, and we'll chat soon. Take care. Bye.